Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to say Kalayim Yal Bashim Shai Bashim Kakudash. And double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do rule and teach well. Reading this article from NPR.org. The father of gynecology. Let me see if I can turn off these headphones. It's not turning off. Give me a second. Alright, father gynecology who experiments on slaves no longer on pedestal in NYC. So, this is from April 17th, 2018, so old, but still want to get into this history and this topic. So New York City has removed the statue of J. Marion Sims, a 19th century gynecologist who experimented on enslaved women from a pedestal in Central Park. You see, I think Central Park is in Manhattan. I believe it's in Manhattan. Should know that. I think Prospect Park is in Brooklyn. Whatever. The statue will be moved to a cemetery in Brooklyn, where sometimes called the Father's Gynecology is buried. A new informational plaque will be added, both the empty pedestal and the relocated statue, and the city is commissioning new artwork. Blah, blah, blah. The 1890 statue was installed across the street from the New York Academy of Medicine in 1934, with the plaque praising Sims' brilliant achievement. Sims perfected a technique to repair fistulas, which are the holes between the vagina and the bladder or rectum, and gluteal incontinence, by repeatedly conducting painful experimental surgeries on enslaved black women without using anesthesia. Right? With Judite woman, man. Brutal. And this is the curses. This is just another account of the curses that they could do these type of things, right? And it's just also more of Esau's wickedness being exposed, man. In these times, right? Which starts with his men, right? Because starting with our elders and apostles on down, they've been talking about this for decades, going into things like this. About this man's a damn devil, and his atrocities and things he's done against our people, going into the history, So then they said that they get it moved, so we can go here. Vanessa Northington Gamble, physician and medical historian at George Washington University, spoke to NPR's Hidden Brain podcast 2016 for an episode about Sims' legacy. She explained that in 1840, to develop a treatment for fistulas, Sims spent years experimenting on a slave woman. He conducted surgeries on a number of women, but we only know the names of 3 of them: Anarcha, Lucy, and Betsy. Right? So that's what the damn devil was doing. We're gonna read a little bit more and then get some precepts. These women were property, Gamble says. These women could not consent. These women also have value to slaveholders for production, reproduction, how much work they can do in the field, how much slave children they can produce. And by having these fistulas, they could not continue with childbirth. They also have difficulty working. In his autobiography, Sims describes negotiating with slave owners. I made this proposition to slave owners, to the owners of the Negroes. If you will give me Anarcha and Betsy for experiment, I will agree to perform no experiment operation on either of them to endanger their lives, and will not charge a cent for keeping them. But you must pay the taxes and clothe them. Complains about the expense of feeding them. Right? Looked at that people like trash, pretty much. The proverb, byword, so on and so forth. In addition to we could read this. In addition to Annika, Betsy, and Lucy, Sims Wright had 4 more to experiment on. There's never a time that I could not any day have had a subject for operation. My operations all failed. This went on not for 1 year, but for 2 or 3 and even 4 years. So he just kept. You notice how he's fucking these people up, man. messing these Jake women up. Alright? It's the same man that your woman, fucking defend at every turn, trying to get him involved in this thing. Guys are crazy. It kind of talks about the pain. Yeah, let's get some pieces of music. Yeah, music. I have no idea. So just the book of Isaiah 45, 47, and 5. We'll just get to the point. Sit thou silent and get into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, talking about the daughter of Babylon, America. Which also goes back to Revelation, the virgin daughter of Babylon. A mystery Babylon, but it's not a mystery no more. For thou shalt no more be called a lady of kingdoms, right? The top kingdom, on the planet Earth, this kind of place everyone wants to go to make the money, the golden city. Like it says in Jeremiah 50. I was wroth for my people. I have polluted my inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid the yoke, right? Taking them down, right? And that yoke is also literal. Literally put yokes on our people, man. They didn't care about your age. They didn't care about none of that. Deuteronomy 28 talks about, how they had no mercy upon the young or the old, male, female, little kids. Man, they didn't care. Young children, they had no they had no mercy. Now it says, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou dost not lay these things to thy heart, neither dost remember the latter end of it. Right? So yeah, this man, he did all these things, he wasn't thinking about the latter end. And what's gonna happen if I keep brutalizing these people? Right? He didn't think about it. And that's why he's gonna get his judgment. So I mean, there's really a lot of info in this article alone. Yeah, so I mean, I might as well read all of it, and then we'll just maybe get one more, maybe just end it. Modern critics of Sims also noted that he conducted these experiments while anesthesia, although the commission does not focus on this element of his research. His research began during the early days of modern anesthesia, as his defenders have noted. After perfecting the technique on black women without anesthesia, Sims went on to offer it to white women, but he treated white women with anesthesia. Gamble notes. Wicked. Sims' own statements on this are mixed. Years after his initial test, he stated he still didn't believe in using anesthesia for fistula surgeries because they're not painful enough to justify the trouble and risk. See, this man, his pride, because you read earlier on, his surgeries were repeated again and again on the same woman 30 times on the market were painful. Sims wrote in his autobiography the results of one stupid thing he tested. Lucy's agony was extreme. She was much prostrated, right, like laying down like in pain. I thought she was going to die. After she had recovered entirely from the effects of this unfortunate experiment, I put her on the table to examine. Alright, so yeah. This is what we're dealing with. That's why you don't try to defend these people. I never trust the enemy. Alright. But he also said that the experimental surgeries on his enslaved subjects were so painful that none but a woman could have borne them. His autobiography describes conducting fistula operations in Europe on wealthy women who were sedated. This century history is skewed in contemporary medical practice. In brain notes, black patients continue to receive less pain medication for broken bones and cancer. Black children receive less pain medication than white children for appendicitis. The reason for this is that many people inaccurately believe that blacks have literally have thicker skin than whites and experience less pain. Right? So, yeah. So maybe this is something else I might want to look into another day. Let's give me one little quote. This is the last one. Zechariah 1 and 15. And very this source pleased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but little displeased, and they hope for the affliction. Alright, so start with the top enemy, Esau, Edom, so-called white men. They went above and beyond affliction to our people. What they did was brutal. Torturing our people, torturing our women. They gotta pay for this. So I'm just gonna let this be that, and we'll go on edified and see shalom.